Sandra, welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is the place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live right now, post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you'll find the content useful, helpful, insightful in any way, shape or form, or you just want to give this channel some love. I really appreciate it. If you didn't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this awesome book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. And I'm also the founder of asexualise.com and the founder of Asexualise Academy. And I'm also the author of this awesome fibromyalgia self-help handbook, how to manage fibromyalgia to have less pain, more energy and feel happier like a superhero rock star. And the links to those are down below. In tonight's episode, I want to do a movie review. So tonight I've been busy watching this, which is Jurassic World. I picked this Blu-ray edition up, which also comes with a 3D disc. So it's got two discs in it. One's actually currently in my TV Blu-ray player at the moment, and it's actually got the 3D disc. Right, I picked all this up, and it was brand new from Poundland in the UK for £2, which I thought was really, really good. I don't know if I've still got the cellophane, but I took the cellophane off, and it said new on it, which is like really, really unusual to get like a movie for £2 brand new, because some of the ones from Poundland are like you know, ones that have been redone before. You know, they've been watched and they're recycled, but this one said new on it. So I thought it was really good. You had the original cellophane wrapper on it, really, really good. Now, I saw this film at the cinema before and I really liked it and really wanted to see it again. So it's quite a while since I've last seen it. And I have to tell you, I think it's really, really, really good action movie. So if you're into action and you're like me, you're asexual, someone who doesn't experience any sexual attraction, and you don't like nudity and sex being in films, this is a film to watch. There is a love story in it, but there's no actual sex in it whatsoever. There's no nudity either. So it's a really, really good film to watch, great family film to watch. So obviously Jurassic World is part of the Jurassic franchise. If you haven't seen some of the previous Jurassic movies, and you might not know what it's about, but basically you know, the films are to do with dinosaurs, and when people, basically humans, come in between dinosaurs and their natural habitat or their nature, their human nature, several get eaten, or more than several. So in Jurassic World, the thing I liked about Jurassic World is it's very, very modern. It's set in a modern day era. It's set up to be a theme park. So Jurassic World is kind of futuristic. It's a theme park where they've got dinosaurs that actually interact with children. And you've got baby dinosaurs that give kids rides. You've got some dinosaurs, like the baby dinosaurs, they can interact with kids. Kids can cuddle the dinosaurs and things like that. You've also got, like SeaWorld is, you've also got a great big dinosaur that's in the sea. Hi, My Life. That movie was epic, and the second was even more epic. This is the last one I've seen. I haven't seen one after this. Oh, hi, Sam. Saw it a couple of years ago. I adore dinosaurs. Yeah, it's really, really good. I haven't seen the one after this. Is there one after this? I've seen, you know, but yeah, but I really, really, really loved this because I love theme parks so much. This is why I really loved it as well, because, you know, it's really, 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 really awesome. You know, like, I love and adore theme parks so much, and I can imagine this really happening. That's what I loved about the film. I thought, although it's kind of like really futuristic, kind of like beyond imagination in terms of like all these dinosaurs coming to life, and, you know, actually, you know, like children amongst the dinosaurs, it's very, very realistic, because they do create a genetically like engineered dinosaur, or more than one actually, is the big secret that you kind of find out at the end. But yeah, they've got this massive dinosaur that they've completely genetically engineered, And that's what happens to the park. So there's a story going through it. So these two boys basically, they leave their mother to go to Jurassic World to visit their like auntie, which is their mum's sister. And she is like the manager of the whole park, and she doesn't really care about the children that much. She's too busy having her own life, the dinosaurs, making deals, making progress, which means basically making these monster dinosaurs that, you know, they're going to turn on mankind because they're genetically engineered and they're kept in captivity and they don't know any different, and they want to really get out to the outside world. And so there's a couple of storylines going on. One is the children and the fact that their auntie is not really bothered about seeing them, doesn't really care about them. She leaves them with this other woman to look after, which is like, you know, it's like someone who works for her. So you've got her that's trying to make deals with business guys, her that doesn't see the animals as animals, but more like a profit pulling machine. And you've got this guy who's a foreign guy, actually, is kind of like the guy whose park it is, and has been left to him in his will from, I presume, someone he knew or I'm not quite sure if it's a family member or someone he knew, because I can't remember all the exact details of the previous movies. But anyway, he's been left it. The park was left to him. This is this foreign guy, but she's the one who manages the park. But there's this other guy who's always trying to jeopardize things. He always wants a basically a cut of the slice of the profit. And so so the dinosaur, this big dinosaur that's genetically engineered, it's a threat to public safety because they don't know what it's capable of. So the foreign guy who's basically owns the theme park asked the woman who's managing the whole theme park to get this guy to come in. Now the girl and woman, the guy who she gets come in, Owen, Claire's the main woman, and Owen, who she has to get to come in to do the analysis. They have met before in a previous movie. They had a previous like love story going on, and so in this movie now they've got this love story going on, like this love-hate relationship for a while throughout the movie. So you've got that kind of like the subplot of the kids are not really looked after by their auntie. They're left to their own devices. One of the rides they decide to stay on despite the fact the park's meant to be closed, because they didn't tell the public why it was closed. They just said it was closed, and it was because the dinosaur that's been genetically engineered and basically made up, that gets loose and that wreaks havoc all amongst the park. And so I really did like the fact there was tons and tons of action in it, you know, and the kids, they're in this like sphere, like this ball, glass ball, and it's got like force fields around it and some other technology that's supposed to protect them, and it's supposed to be a ride where they can go out amongst the dinosaurs. And the dinosaurs, when they first go out, these huge dinosaurs, it's really, really beautiful setting where they're all these dinosaurs are very gentle creatures in more of their natural habitat. Obviously it's not completely natural because it's on a blimmin' island, and you know, but they're roaming free in the grass. Those ones aren't kept in captivity, and you kind of get the calm before the storm where they're in this ball. And the scenes with the ball I thought are pretty good. You know, I obviously, if I ever get a 3D TV, I've got a 3D version, so I thought where the kids are in the ball, you know, if you watch that on a 3D telly, it's going to be pretty insane. It's going to be awesome, you know what I mean? So there's certain scenes in the movie that I just thought would be so much better done when I, you know, can see the 3D version. But it was really, really good as it was. And so, you know, they're going through, like, basically the kids decide not to go back and stop what they're doing on this sphere thing, this ride, and they ended up venturing further than they should. And by that time, the big dinosaur has been genetically engineered, has got loose, and is basically on a quest to kill. It's killing for sport, and so obviously the kids get in the way and they nearly get killed, but not quite. They escape. And so, you know, there's all these plots. There's the kids, like I said, they're not close at the beginning of the film to the auntie at all. The auntie goes looking for them with Owen. So the auntie's called Claire. She goes looking for them with the Owen, and who's the guy she had a previous love story going on with, which is another love story that carries through to this love-hate relationship for some time. And so, and then you've got obviously the main thing with the theme park and all the you know, all the questioning, like, what are we doing, like genetically modifying things and genetically engineering, because this is what, you know, humanity is doing to our future. It's creating monsters, do you know what I mean, by specifically creating things made up of other things, you know, and it's completely engineering it, but it doesn't know any different, but it's a very intelligent being, do you know what I mean? So, you know, there's a lot of kind of morals to it and ethic questioning, you know, as to what we're actually doing, because obviously, you know, people are genetically engineering things all the time behind closed doors, you know. And that's how I can actually see this really happening. I can see something like that happening in the future. I don't think it's beyond imagination, to be quite frank with you. I mean, obviously they pull stuff from years ago and they can use some of the DNA from years ago of stuff to make things these days. Do you know what I mean? So it's not beyond the realm of actually happening. And it obviously it's very, very, very scary concept if it gets out of control. And wherever there's good in the world, there's always going to be bad in the world. So where, you know, like, for example, obviously we all know that people are building robots, robotic people, right? Those can be used for good, you know, robotics can be used to fix limbs and stuff like that. But we all know that wherever there's good, there's always bad. So there's going to be some bad people that literally, you know, program robots to do bad things. So, you know, there's a lot of ethics questioning in it as well. It's a really good film. Sam, yeah, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. Not seen that one yet. I haven't seen that either. I didn't realise that. I don't think I've seen that one anyway. Fallen Kingdom. Wow. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that. I'll have to look into that. So that sounds really good. But I presume it's got these two people in again, is it? Owen and Claire, isn't it? Yeah. So, but I did think the kids were very good in this as well. The kids were very good actors as well. And I just thought it's, you know, it really, like, I was kind of thinking I can remember a lot of the plot, right? I was thinking I can remember a lot of this plot, but, you know, as I went on the movie, although I can remember quite a bit of it from the cinema, I was still really hooked. Like, because it's very action-packed, like constant action, I was still hooked on the edge of my seat. Like, so I was really happy. And another thing I really love about this movie, Jurassic World, is they do bring parts of Jurassic Park into Jurassic World. And I think it's very, very clever the way they've done that. And one of the guys who's a member of the staff in the control center, which controls the gates for the different dinosaurs in the park, he's wearing a Jurassic Park t-shirt. And the woman's like, where did you get that from? Because people died in Jurassic Park. And he's like, oh, I got it off eBay. It was like $150 or something. And she's like, well, it's very insensitive, like, but you know, don't wear it again. But I thought that element's quite nice. And the two kids, well, better not shake this around too much. The two kids, they actually find one of the original like cars, Jeeps, I think they are. And they actually get it to work again. That's how come they escaped the dinosaur on one of the times, you know, the genetically modified one that's genetically engineered, sorry, not modified, because it's made from scratch. It's made up of all different types of dinosaurs. That's why it's a real serious killing machine. So yeah, the kids got the Jurassic Park, one of the old Jeeps working again. It's like, wow, that's pretty incredible. And they did a bit of the room that it was in, and so that was quite nice. I think it's very good for people who've been fans of the franchise for all that time, that that they can see a bit of the previous movie in this movie, because I think it's nice for fans to see that. Sam, great film, I loved it. I would visit a real life dino park. Hopefully I won't be eaten. I've actually been to a dinosaur park, Sam, but they don't have real dinosaurs there. They had a mechanical one there and just statues. It's an actual dinosaur park. I can't remember. I did go there years ago though. Yeah, they had one that moved, and then they had some statues. I can't remember what it's called. It was an actual dinosaur park, but it wasn't like that. It's like had other animals in aviary, like birds and aviaries and stuff. It wasn't the amazing thing you'd think it was, like tons of dinosaurs. It had a little bit of dinosaur stuff in it. Jurassic Park, the original, was the first film I ever saw in a cinema. Oh my gosh. Wow, Sam, that's incredible. That's really, really incredible. My life, I literally scan films and shows for LGBT plus characters, or who I think is. Indoraptor is better than Indorex. Prove me wrong, I dare you. I don't, I don't get involved in who's better and not better. So I don't know all my dinosaurs. I'm not, I like watching the film, but I couldn't tell you the dinosaurs in it. I know it might sound weird, but you know what I mean? I don't, I like the action movie. I don't pay attention really to individual names of dinosaurs. So there's no way I'm going to prove you wrong because I don't know my stuff, So yeah, Sam, I loved having dinosaurs since I was a tiny little being. All dinosaurs are amazing. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're nice. I mean, I wouldn't like to come across the one that's a killing machine that's genetically made up of, completely from scratch, because that's just man creating it. It's got nothing to do with really. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't like to be with the killing machine one. Do you know what I mean? Because it's literally, they're specifically breeding it like, I would rather meet the herbivores. Yeah, so would I. Yeah, I'd rather meet the herbivores. That's what I liked a bit about the when the sphere was going in down the, when the sphere was going, the two kids were in it. They were herbivores as far as I know, because they were eating grass and stuff, and they were so beautiful. And I thought the scenery actually was really stunning in that part. Adios, I had a busy night. Stay strong and speed, love. Okay, bye. I want a pack of Indoraptors. Oh, wow. Jurassic World 3 has a title now, Dominion. Oh, that's great. Dominion. Wasn't that name of one of the dinosaurs in here, Dominion? Oh, right, okay. Anyway, that's lovely. Night, my life. So yeah, I just thought it's a really, really good film. I absolutely loved it. I think it's one to watch, definitely, especially if you don't like sex in movies, because there's none of that. And I just thought it was a really good film. So, and also I got, it's really funny when they were killing the big dinosaur at the end, right? Obviously, the one that's throughout the whole film that's genetically engineered, they have to have some other dinosaurs trying to kill it. And when they were trying to kill it at the end, this is my giraffe that sits on top of my TV. And it fell off and went like that. And I'm like, no, it's killed my giraffe. And I was thinking, it should be called Jurassic Park instead, or Jurassic World. Can we have a Jurassic Park and a Jurassic World, please? With this little character, because it's so cute. I love this character. I just bought it years ago. Anyway, and yes, I think no film is complete without popcorn. So most asexuals, we do love our laugh out loud poor giraffe. Yeah, it was like this, Sam. I mean, it was like on its side. It was like, what's it doing? I love my little giraffe. It's never fallen down like that before. I'm like, wow. So yeah, most asexuals, we love our popcorn. Well, we love our food, right? So I decided to get this popcorn to try it out, right? And this was in a store in the UK called Sainsbury's. I don't know if you have one where you are, right? If you're not in the UK. And this was in the aisle where it's got all the foreign food. So actually got a lot of Indian, Middle Eastern food. And this was just 60p, and you put it in the microwave, right? And you can I was reading the instructions on the back, right? And it looked so awesome. So I thought I'm going to test it out and see if it's any good. And yeah, it's got some kernels left in there. See, I don't think you can you can see the kernels left in it. But I did eat loads of the popcorn. Come in a nice bag. It was really, really tasty. So yeah, if you're in Sainsbury's, it's really, because it's foreign writing, SLOSOLONY, Soloni popcorn. Really, really nice for 60p. I thought you could literally take it out of the bag, put it in another bag, or put in a box and take it to the cinema with you if you want to. 60p. It's very salty though, because it is salted popcorn. Very, very salty. It does make your lips feel very salted. Food is lush, food is life. Exactly, Sam. Exactly. So actually, I didn't just have that. I had rice noodles because I hadn't eaten lunch today. So I had rice noodles, fish. I ate all the popcorn. Right, you know how bad I am for eating food. Thanks for the thumbs up. I ate all the popcorn, right, before I ate my main food, which was fish, rice noodles, and spinach. So But I had no lunch, so I was so hungry. And I'm like, I've got to eat, and I couldn't wait to eat this. I'm just like, I've got to try it out. I just need to eat it. More than anything, I need to eat it. So I did. But I'm wondering, if I got kernels left, if they'll still pop if I put the bag down. But I don't think I can use sellotape, can I, on a bag in the microwave? Because if I can use sellotape on a bag, I thought I can sellotape it back up and then use the kernels that I haven't, to pop still, because they haven't popped. But I don't know if you can do that, because I've never tried it, and I don't know if sellotape goes in that microwave or if it will do something that it's not supposed to do. So yeah, I just thought it's a really, really good film. Really recommend. Like £2 from a pound shop. I thought it was amazing. I'm unsure. Google is your friend. Yeah, I'll Google where I can put sellotape on popcorn bag. If not, I can probably stick it in a microwave bowl or something with a lid on. But then I don't know if it bashed may have problems with the lid. It might cause problems to explode or something. That movie needs more tatters. Just kidding. How are you doing? I'm doing really, really well, Eddie. Yeah, this is what I watched, but I've already done the movie review now. So yeah, it's a really, really good film. Highly recommend it. I did like it at the cinema. I like the fact that it's centered around a theme park, because obviously I love theme parks. And I can imagine this being a real theme park, but I don't think it's good if they do, make dinosaur like that, which I'm guessing, obviously the theory of why they've done the genetically engineered dinosaur is probably would come true. It's like the fact that people want bigger and better and more scary things. And so, it's kind of like people create the problem for themselves, do you know what I mean? By actually wanting something bigger, better, louder, noisier, It's a bit like the internet these days, right? If you're trying to sell a product online or anything, you need to stand out from the crowd. And it's kind of you need to do the most crazy things ever to disrupt people's attention, to actually make them want to listen to you about your product, service, or just whatever you've got going on. Do you know what I mean? And so, you can kind of see that would really happen, and that people would create probably genetically engineered dinosaurs and, to create bigger and better features of the theme park, and more scariness that probably could lead to that. So yeah, it's just kind of like, you can see it coming true. I have to say that I think this guy's I watched this guy is out of Guardians of the Galaxy, but he's more intelligent in this one. Do you know what I mean? Than Guardians of the Galaxy. He's more like a strong guy in this, which I think he's really good with the dinosaurs as well. And I like the fact that the guy who was a really bad guy in the film, he kind of, one of the bad guys gets his comeuppance. But they've left it open at the end of the film. So basically, if you didn't know the ending, I don't want to spoil it for you, but there is another dinosaur that comes in at the end. And that one presumably will go on to be the next main dinosaur in the next movie. But I haven't seen the next one. So if you've seen the next one already, you'll know more than me. So, Sam, yeah, humans tend to follow the money, and if people will pay, people will make it. Yeah, that's the problem. Humans do tend to follow the money. If people will pay, people will make it. I know, it's really, really sad. That's the problem with asexuality and a highly sexual world we live in, isn't it, Sam? The fact that, people spend more money on sex than anything. Well, most things anyway. And that's why people sell sex. They sell, they advertise sex stuff so much because people buy it. If more people spent money, for example, on asexual t-shirts, asexual books, sex-free stuff like sex-free cinemas, sex-free bars, sex-free clubs, and all that type of thing, then they would, and sex-free cafes, like where you saw no nudity, no sex, no videos, music videos with sex on them and boobs stuck out or whatever. If people pay more money to see that type of thing, like more of a sex-free stuff, then, the world would go more like that. But the world caters to the majority demand, unfortunately. And unfortunately, there are many more highly sexualized people in the world, or many people that have been converted, programmed since birth to believe that heterosexuality is the normal sexuality, and also that sex is a normal thing, that you've got to have it, you've got to need it, got to want it, got to do it, and the more you do it, the better you are, which is really not true. So it's a shame that more and more people will pay loads more money for that stuff than they will for sex-free stuff. Sadly. However, this film is sex-free, so you do have to, I find quite a lot of movies that are sex-free. So there are quite a proportion of films that don't have sex in it. That's why I love doing this channel, because obviously before I even did this channel, I was even thinking, God, there's so many movies with sex in it, but I just don't watch the movies usually. Usually I say, I have made boo-boos. Maybe that's not the right word to use. I have made mistakes sometimes, and I've ended up watching movies that have got sex in them and not realised. I did watch one film, it was so bad, it was centred around sex. The trailer wasn't. The trailer didn't have any sex in it, and the film had, oh my God, it was horrible. I had to keep going to the toilet just to not watch bits of it, because it was just bad. I don't know, Lafala. Money is of no interest to me. Only need stuff for spacer and self-improvement. Yeah, that's really good, Sam. Yeah, I spend money on my self-improvement because I want to improve myself. Do you know what I mean? It's really good. It's really, really, really good that you do self-improvement. I think the more, more of the world should be like that. I mean, obviously some people need to improve their sex skills, don't they? Because sadly they are, the people that think they're so good at sex a lot of the time are quite lacking in it. They don't know what the heck they're doing. So that's why I buy all your books, self-improvement and better understanding. Oh, thank you, Sam. Thank you. Yeah, Sam buys all my books. Sam has a special bookshelf just for Sandra Bellamy. That's my actual real name and my author name. Just for my books. Yes, I use my actual real name on my books. So far, I've always used my real name. So yeah. Sounds like I got a Sandra Bellamy bookshelf, and Sam buys a printed version as well. And digital copies. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry, you buy both, don't you? Digital and physical copies where available. Yes, there's one book I haven't actually got in print. I might do that. It was a book that took me 2.5 years to write. Redundancy book, Breakthrough the Barriers of Redundancy to Get Back into Work, and A to Z How to Guide. It's actually a really good book. It took me 2.5 years to write that. I packed everything because I used to be a manager. Management for 7 years, and I've also been made redundant 3 times, and so I can see both sides of the management fence and the redundancy side. So it's really good. There's a lot of self-improvement in there, a lot about self-esteem and growing confidence as well, but it's only in digital format at the moment. So yeah. You've got both of these books, haven't you, Sam? The Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, even though you don't have fibromyalgia, because it teaches you lots of other things, and you've got the Asexual Perspectives book as well. Yes, this fibromyalgia book, it's basically a personal professional development book, in a nutshell, to decrease your pain in life, many areas of your life, which most people don't even know they've got loads of pain in their life from loads of different parts of their life, but they have. Yep, and the redundancy one on Kindle. Yeah. You're so supportive. And I have to say a big, humongous thank you to Sam, who did recently buy me a hard drive, external hard drive for my Mac that's been having problems and issues. So thank you, Sam, for that. Yeah, Sam's donated that as their, oh my God, I said his, sorry, as their donation towards this channel. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's really, really nice. Sorry, I keep getting Sam's pronouns wrong. I'm really sorry. One day I'll fully remember. Sometimes I do really well. I always say them, and then other times I don't. I do apologize. I feel so bad. I really do. Sorry. But yes, Sam is they, them, non-binary. Yes. Agender. Yes. So Sam bought me the hard drive, which I'm so pleased with, because the Asexual Me Up Mastery course that I've finished, that's going to be launched to the general public soon, officially. Well, I say general, asexuals will be obviously interested in it. Then when I'll release that fully soon. Yeah, I was having problems with the movies because I was having a lack of space on my Mac. It's causing me terrible slowing down issues. My they them badge has been dispatched, so I shall have it on when I'm in Exeter. Sam, I think that's a very good idea. Help me with a prop. It's very good. I know. I'm really pleased you've got that badge. I'm so sorry. I should remember. My brain finds it so difficult, I think. I won't give up, obviously. Keep saying it, but, I'm sorry. One day it'll probably come totally naturally to me. Like, it took me 6 months to understand how to use iMovie on one-to-one tuition. So, and now I'm like, why didn't I understand this before? Why did it take me 6 months to understand it? And I had 96 lessons of driving, but I never even got close to doing a theory test. It took me 32 to understand how to use clutch control. I'm a bit of a slow learner, unfortunately. But once I've got it, then I should have it fully. Should I say? So yes, I make an effort. When I was at school, I always got given 100% plus basically for effort, but I was never an A grade student. But I always for effort, I was like A plus or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I did very well on effort. It was just like I didn't actually get the A that everyone else did. When I was doing A levels though, English literature, I always got A's for my own writing, but B's for analysing other people. So when I wrote my own stories, my own works of fiction, I think it was back then I always got A's, but when I was analysing other people's, I always got B's, which was very interesting. So I'm really good at writing my own stuff better than I am at analysing other people's. But I did get my English teacher actually said I should be a literary critic because there was one book and I remember giving this critique of it. But the thing is, I see what no one else sees in books. I think I completely get the wrong end of the stick. But anyway, she goes, "Oh, you should be a literary critic." I'm like, "Oh." But yeah, I don't like reading very much. I like writing, but I don't like reading that much. That's why all my books, they're broken up into short chapters on purpose, so they're very, very easy to read. So if you've ever got problems with reading like me, you're really slow at reading, they're not too much to take in. You can just read like a chapter a day or whatever and get through it very easily, and they've got loads of bullet points and stuff. I do that on purpose because I have to read it myself. And I don't, and I am a slow reader. So if I have something like this, it's far more easy to digest and take in. Sam, literature was the one I was no good in class. Literature was the one I was no good in classwork. Exams I was rubbish with all, as I am not good in exam conditions. Oh yeah, I mean, you're good at maths though, and numbers. I'm not good at maths or numbers. I'm good at English. Acting, I'm very good at. When I was 15 years old, I got code to drama school, but I never did. I was too shy back then. You wouldn't think so now, would you? Like my teacher when I was at school, she had my drama teacher with my parents' evening, and she was like, "Oh, Sandra should really go to drama school." And there was one in the next town, well, not the closest town, but the town after to where my parents lived, and she wanted me to go to drama school there. She thought I'd be really good at it because we did this piece, like classroom piece, where there was a shipwreck. And we had to bring a prop in. And I bought my dad's old round glasses from years old. They were like ones he'd had from a family heirloom or something. I don't know. They weren't his, they were like passed down from family. And I remember wearing them, and it was a shipwreck. And I was one of the survivors. And I had to trawl through the dead bodies on this shipwreck and get into character. And after that, literally, my drama teacher said, "You should be going to drama school because you're that good at acting." And I am good at acting, I have to say. I'm really good at acting. So yeah, I have done acting actually. I was in episode 13 of series 1 of Torchwood. So you probably know Torchwood is a spin-off from Doctor Who, if you didn't already know that. And I got paid acting work years ago, and I was running away from a monster screaming. Actually, in Cardiff City Centre, it was filmed in front of a live audience out in the middle of the street. And I'm still on the trailer as well, wearing a white PVC jacket. And so I was really, really happy that I was in the final end of day. So it's on YouTube, I believe, somewhere, or it's on the internet somewhere on a video. I don't know if it's on YouTube or another video program, but it's definitely on the, if you type in end of days, Tortured, series 1, episode 13, called End of Days. When the monster comes at the end with the horns, I'm one of the people running and screaming away from it in the middle of the city centre. I'm good at screaming, as you could probably tell with the fact I speak loudly. And I've also been on Channel 4, the television show, debating Big Brother, live. It was live. You're not allowed to swear. Of course, I'm a good girl. I was against it. Most people are for it, so that was interesting. Your books are good for me due to the way you lay them out. I struggle with reading and find it easier when things are broken down. Oh, thank you, Sam. It's like my books are made for you, isn't it? It's really good because I think we're very similar like that. I'm really, really glad about that. I think it's a huge benefit, you know? I'm glad you like that. Big Brother is stupid, laugh out loud, yes. Very sexualized Big Brother was, still is. I don't watch it. I've seen a bit of it in the past because I don't watch TV, just movies on my Blu-ray player. But yeah, I hated it. But I'm really glad that you like the way I lay it out. I mean, this chapter here is the power of conscious thought, you see. So though it's a fibromyalgia self-help handbook, you know, this talks about mindset and the power of conscious thought. So if you don't know about that, check it out. The links to these books, by the way, are below if you want to check them out. This one, seriously, will change your life, even if you haven't got fibromyalgia, if you take it seriously and read and apply a lot of these techniques to your life. Seriously. I know, because I've been using them myself since 2012. That's how I know they work. And my other friend, he went on a plane after 20 years. He'd not been on one before for 20 years. So yeah, Big Brother is stupid. I don't like Big Brother. I mean, it's very sexualized, isn't it? Who can get off with who can have sex with who in between the sheets. So that's pretty yucky. I don't like it at all. But yeah, I'm glad you like the layout, Sam, because you know, it's very different because my book's a quirky book. So I do like short, you know, mastering your mind. I love this. This is one of my favorite chapters of the whole book because everything comes from the mind. So yeah, I do like I do lots of short chapters. That's why there's a lot of chapters in the book. Do you know what I mean? Because I just think I'm glad you find it easier to read because I just see what I mean. There's a, you know what I mean? Everything's got its chapter, but it's very chronological and very logical. So yeah, so there's a lot of information and it's good because I think when you read a chapter at a time, because it's easy to read, I think you take it in your mind more and you can easily dip into it. So if there's a specific chapter you want to go to, you can just read it without having to trawl through blooming tons of other stuff you don't really need at that point in your life. Do you know what I mean? I mean, obviously, I'll read it all through first, but there's certain things that are more prominent that you have to deal with right in the situation at the time. Do you know what I mean? There's sometimes you need to deal with stuff more to do with your mindset. Other times you need to deal with stuff more to do with the food you're eating. Other time you have to deal with more stuff to do with, you know, like your home environment, stuff like that. So I think there's bits, that's relevant to everyone that you can dip in and out of at any time. But yeah, I'm glad you think Big Brother's stupid. I mean, obviously there's a lot of people that don't, but I did. Yeah, exactly. And if you want to see answers to specific questions, etc., it's easier to find. That's what I think. Thank you, Sam. You know, I also like the way I mean, it's some people don't like it, but I love the way I've done the Asexual Perspectives book, which is the Asexual Guide to Sex is going to be written in the same sort of format. So when I ask my interviewees these questions, the answer's going to be low. And the beauty of this is, you know, say you just wanted to find out, do you believe if a sexual person had a relationship with an asexual it can work, and what do you think about it being fair or not? Every person's story, basically, in Asexual Perspectives, this book has that answer. So literally, the way it's laid out is you can the questions are very the same as for everyone. There's a few people that didn't answer a couple of the questions because they were optional, and I didn't want to force people to answer stuff if they're really uncomfortable. But in the main, that everyone who's an interview has answered the questions, and so you can literally, whoever's short chapter it is, you can go and actually look at their answer, and then you can compare all the other answers. So you've got a general overview of how it would work between a sexual person and an asexual from the perspectives of 47 asexuals in the book. And I think that type of feedback is kind of really crucial to your asexual journey. And also it's really important if you're really wanting those specific answers and contemplating, if you're an asexual person, contemplating getting with a sexual, where it's going to be right for you or not. Do you know what I mean? Based on actually 47 asexuals. Obviously, you know, everyone's entitled to their own opinion and not everyone's experience is different. I mean, Eddie's in the chat and Eddie's not asexual, but got an asexual girlfriend. So it can work sometimes. But the person's got to be a very, very rare person. Do you know what I mean? In my opinion. And so, you know what I mean? You know, you can see, you know, if you want to think what's it like for an asexual to live with someone, you know, what's your view of living with someone? So you can then go to all the different chapters and quickly flick through to find out what the overview of people is about living with someone. That's why another great book, I found it great to understand the range of diversity on the asexual spectrum. Oh yeah, you're talking about this one, aren't you, Sam? Yeah, I found it really good as well, to understand the range of the diversity across the asexual spectrum. Even though I wrote it, I totally agree with you, Sam, because although I write these books, right, I'm not totally the one writing, if you know what I mean, because my interviewees tend to write a lot of the stuff, and I do minimal editing as much as possible. I mean, the Asexual Guide to Sex has had a lot of editing with the interviewees. I mean, the ones that have done the more in-depth questions, we've been working on their answers for like 6 months. 6 months of their life they've dedicated to the Asexual Guide to Sex book. I mean, it's incredible. Do you know what I mean? So, but so they kind of like the people write it, the asexual people write it themselves. Do you know what I mean? Their bits, and that contributes to the book overall being a lot written by others. And so it's not just my only personal opinion. That's what I also thought was good. I was so surprised. I mean, my mission obviously was to get because it's diversity across the asexual spectrum. That was my mission from the book, to interview so many asexuals for it. They're celebrating our diversity across the asexual spectrum and our differences within it. And I was surprised how well it actually did work to my ideology of what I wanted the book to do. You know, it worked very well because it does actually show you the vast difference between, you know, across the asexual spectrum. It doesn't go into every single like kind of label or definition of asexuality, but it does give you a broad idea of how the asexual spectrum is so broad and how it really does work together. And I just found it really interesting writing. It's like the Asexual Guide to Sex. You know, I don't know what people are going to put in their answers. I don't have a clue until they write it. So it's a learning experience for me when I'm writing these books, when I get other people to participate. It's like I learn so much because it's like, you know, I learned so many different perspectives that may be vastly different to mine. I mean, some of the Asexual Guide to Sex ones, they're vastly different to mine. Like some of them complete opposite to mine. Do you know what I mean? And I like that because it's good, because someone who reads the book then can relate to all the, you know, there's something for everyone. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's why I do think it's really good. You know what I mean? And the way it's broken down is, again, easy to read chapters, you know, and that's how the Asexual Guide to Sex book is written, in this type of format, you know. I know the majority of asexuals, I got really good feedback about the format. There's a few asexuals that weren't so keen on it because they're not used to it, you know, but it is, you know, and one person just thought, oh, it's so easy, all she's done is ask them a few questions. It's honestly, it's not like that. It might look like I've just asked them a few questions, but these are very specific strategic questions that I've pulled from from the experience I've had from you know, helping asexuals since 2015. You know, this was done in 2017, this published. So, you know, it was like taken 2 years for, you know, for all the asexuals that have been private messaging me, asking me all these different types of intricate questions about, you know, what you know, if someone masturbates, can they be asexual? If someone watches porn, can they be asexual? How does an asexual and sexual relationship even work? And you know, like you know, like, how do I cope in this highly sexualized world? All the answers are in this book. And so I specifically didn't just bung a load of questions in there. So specifically all the questions I get asked a lot of the time in private message, so I knew it would answer their questions. And you know, the Asexual Guide to Sex book is similar in that way, but goes above and beyond. It goes more questions than you probably would have ever thought possible. And it, you know, you learn as you go along. Like as a writer of the book, you know, you learn from the people who are in the book, because, you know, like I said, you don't know what they're going to answer. You know, it could be really, really, like one person in my Asexual Guide to Sex, it's like, wow, you've had a lot of experience of different things. I'm not going to give it all away, but it's like, really, I never knew there was that much to have experience of. I thought I had quite a bit, but mine's quite vanilla, shall we say. My experience is very vanilla compared to that person. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. But that's why I love interviewing asexuals. I love other people to take part, because it just makes it so much varied and so much more interesting. And it's really hard though for some asexual. I mean, especially with the Asexual Guide to Sex. I mean, the Asexual Guide to Sex has had like one set of questions, and then some people answered a second set of questions, which was like nearly as many as the first. They're very, very in-depth questions. And so, for some people, it's very difficult because it was having, them having to remember the good, the bad, and the ugly about their past relationships, which can be very difficult for some people, especially the more ugly side of those encounters and relationships. Do you know what I mean? So, it takes a lot of kindness and empathy, and for the interviewees to really want what I want, to help people. Do you know what I mean? It's not easy for some of them. I know some of them have, struggled a little bit to write some of what they've written. I mean, some of the interviewees, they're answering the second set of questions, the other ones aren't, because they feel they haven't got enough experience, or that it's too much for them, or for whatever reason or other. So that's why the book's divided into different parts. Those who have got enough experience to feel they can adequately answer and help other people with more in-depth advice, help, and guidance on, like if you're asexual and thinking about trying sex for the first time. So, I mean, like, for one person, I think there's 51 emails between us. That's one person's story. You can actually imagine, like, it's really, really hard when people have got their own jobs and their own life. I mean, the the Asexual Guide to Sex won't be as big as this. It'll be a lot smaller. There's less people interviewed, but in the questions, like I said, I had one set, and then I've come up with a completely other set of like 20 questions, I think it was. That's a lot for them to answer. And it's get, all the editing that we've done together, it might look like a polished piece, and that's what it's meant to look like. It's kind of meant to look, like it's easily flowing. But there's been hours and hours of work between me and the other people on the book, going backwards and forwards, making sure the commas are even right, the grammar's as good as it can be for the country. So, like the Asexual Perspectives book, once again, there'll be American English in the book, and there's also British English. So, for example, the word neighbour can be spelt with a U in it if it's British, and without a U if it's American, So I allow that in my books. It's a writing rule that I break, but I've got my own publishing company, which these are published under Quirky Books. So I can do what I like, and I want to keep it as authentic as possible. I don't want a guy from the USA then feeling that he's got to write in British English, which is just not suitable, and me correcting his work, which is not how he authentically speaks. Do you know what I mean? To make it all English, because British English, it just would look weird, and similarly, I'm English myself, British, so I don't really want to be writing all the way through mine American. The danger is obviously I can end up writing part American and part British, because I'm looking at both in the thing, and I think sometimes I slip into that. I'm like, now trying to remember the British, I'm like, is that gonna Z or is that gonna S? So that's kind of difficult for me as an author. Sometimes I just forget. I'm thinking probably mine will turn out a bit of both by the look of it sometimes. I don't mean that. I'm trying to keep it to British English for mine. But I think it's just good that we can all communicate and understand each other. And so although the Asexual Guide to Sex might look like quite straightforward questions, I know it's taken the asexuals that have been in the book a long time to answer, and some of them aren't naturally English speaking either, so I've had to work extra hard with those people to get their stories right, to specifically understand exactly what they're saying. That's been a lot of backwards and forwards emails like, no, you didn't understand this is what I meant. Oh, that sounds really great. Yes, that's exactly what I meant. So there's a lot of that type of thing. But the people that aren't naturally English speaking, it's all about grammar, but it's about understanding. If I don't understand my interviewees, I can't interpret what they're saying to put it into better English for the people in the book that are reading it. So there's a lot of work that goes into the book, a lot of work. The Asexual Guide to Sex is like, it's taking, I started in June last year. And usually it'd take me on average like a year to write a book anyway. But if you think this took a year, and then you say the Asexual Guide to Sex is like no way near as big as this, but it's because of all the work that's gone into it. There's been more editing gone into the Asexual Guide to Sex. There's been more people who are not English speaking that have had to really understand their stories and really get the details correct, so that I got to try and interpret what they're saying, type it all up, and then give it back to them, and they'll say, no, this, you've misunderstood me on this because of the English language, but yeah, this you've got really good, this doesn't sound right, you know. And so we've really worked together. The Asexual Guide to Sex book has, you know, been a huge collaboration. This was a huge collaboration, and someone that's in this book is also in my Asexual Guide to Sex book, which is very interesting. So you can see what happened to them in my ex book. But I don't, you know, I don't push people from this book to then all come to the other book. That's not how I roll. You know, I want people to come forward that, you know, genuinely want to be in the books. It's a lot. You know, when people are talking about sex, you know, which the Asexual Guide to Sex, Asexual Guide to Sex is about obviously asexuals that have had sex. When they're talking about very intimate stuff like that, you know, it's very personal details they're sharing with me, us, the world. Do you know what I mean? It takes a lot of courage to do that. I mean, they are anonymous. You can't tell who they are from their names. They're specifically, you know, they've got, you know, some have got alias, some have got their just using their first name, some are using initials. So you can't actually identify them, which is how it needed to be. For legal reasons, actually, more. But you know, I gave them the option, and they all decided to use an alias, initials, or their first name. So, but you know, legally, it's best if their identity is not revealed. Obviously, my identity is revealed, and I go into all about my personal past, which I still haven't finished writing yet, and that is hard for me because I am literally having to remember stuff that I don't really want to remember, stuff I'd forgotten and buried a long time ago. So that's kind of difficult, you know. I'm remembering the experience of actually having sex. This is a very weird thing, you know. It's like, oh, I'm actually remembering what it felt like and what happened more specifically. So that's why it's a very difficult book to write, the Asexual Guide to Sex, because you're having to think of what it felt like, the physicality. Because I asked, this is one of the questions I asked, like, well, 3 questions I asked, which is very, very pertinent to any asexual thing about to try it. Sex for the first time is, you know, how do I prepare myself physically for having sex for the first time? How do I prepare myself emotionally for having sex for the first time? And how do I prepare myself, you know, like what mindset do I have to have in order to prepare myself for sex, you know? So it's mind, physicality, and emotions. Do you know what I mean? I think that's really, really a very sensitive topics. And one person in the book, the physical stuff, they've described incredibly well. I mean, their story has gone through tons of edits to get it right. So it's very difficult when you talk about physical stuff. Like, some people have given more sort of generalized stuff or little information, and then one specific person has given real in-depth information that you can actually vividly picture it in a good way. It's not a horrible picture. It's a bit comical in some ways. That's all I can say. It's very, very well done. Very well done. I have to say it's exquisite. That particular bit is an incredible piece of literature, I think, actually, from a writing point of view. So yeah, there's some wow moments. There's a bit of humor in it, in the book. There's very serious stuff. There's obviously the positives for asexual about sex, and there's also the more negatives. So it's really good that the book is rounded, you know. There's not everyone in the books who's asexual is not saying sex is a bad thing, but there's equally people in the book that are saying, you know, that they don't like it, don't want it, not doing it again. Do you know what I mean? And it's not good for them. So I think it's very interesting. And, you know, I'm turning my attention more now to finishing the Asexual Guide to Sex book. It's a project and work of art, literally, that I really want to push. I want to push it as well because I think, obviously, because of the title, there are going to be sexuals that are going to be interested in the book. And that is partly done purposely. You know, it's Asexual Guide to Sex was because when I had a publisher interested in it, they say, why don't you just call it that? Because that's basically what it's about. And originally I was going to do asexual, what was I going to do? Asexual Guide to Sex for Absolute Beginners, I was going to do, and Asexual Sex Stories. I was going to do 2 separate books. So I was originally going to call one of the books Asexual Guide to Sex, but I was going to call it for Absolute Beginners. But Now the title's Asexual Guide to Sex because it's short and snappy and people can remember it. And then the subtitle is Asexual Sex Stories, Sex Help, Sex Advice and Sex Guidance. So, and that goes with the flow of the book, those specific way the book's created in different parts. So it's all done with purpose and intent. But obviously the Asexual Guide to Sex is very easy to remember. That's why that's going to be the title now. Because if I start putting other bits in it, it's too long, you know. The main points are all in that title and subtitle. So so I amalgamated it into one. So that's, you know, how come it's turned out the way it is. But obviously it will spark the interest of sexuals. And I do want it to do that because I want asexuality to be taken more seriously by people who are sexual. I want them to take notice. It's very important that we do this for ourselves going forward. It's very important that more and more sexuals understand that asexuality is a very valid sexual orientation that really does exist, and people will be able to see this. You know, we can preach all we like as asexuals, we can be activists, we can say to people till we're blue in the face, asexuality is real, asexuality is this. We can show them in documentaries, in newspaper articles, magazine articles. We can do some books, but mostly the books are usually geared towards asexuals rather than sexuals, obviously, when we're most asexual books are. And we can say that, and we do make progress. You know, some people do believe us. You know, one of my entrepreneur friends, he messaged me to say, "Oh, I'm watching a documentary on Netflix about asexuality, Sandra," because he knows like I you know, asexuality is my main niche topic. So that was really nice of him. And he posted something once going, "What really annoys you that people don't believe?" And I said, you know, some people don't believe that asexuality exists. And he goes, "Oh, I 100% definitely know it exists." So it was really nice to have his backing. He teaches people how to speak on stage, and he does actually part of his business as well. Other parts of his business, spirituality and sex. He does talk about sex. He's gone to do speeches on stage to do with sex, you know, but it still bodes well me knowing him because, you know, in the future I might be able to get on the stage and talk about sex and asexuality. You know, probably have to talk about sex because that's what the world relates to, unfortunately. I have discussed it with one of my mental health groups. They have been very supportive, great folk. "Oh, you discussed asexuality?" Yeah, that's really good. I mean, I really, really good, Sam, really good. It's really, really important you've got support. I mean, there are a lot of people that are good. I mean, I'm fortunate that most of the people I come across are good about it, accept it, or they just they get to a point very quickly where they realise I'm so serious that, oh, I better shut up. That, you know, the sexual guys, a lot of them. But you know, like the other day, I got one guy who seemed to understand my asexuality because he goes, "Oh, you basically don't have sex," and I'm like, "Yeah." And then you know, like several days later, he's writing, "Oh, hello, gorgeous. I'm in bed. I wish you were with me." I'm like, clearly you don't understand and get it. Clearly you just think I'm making up or something, or I don't know what you're doing. So I just unfriended him and haven't spoke to him since. I said I'm asexual, and surely there are sexual girls that you can get for yourself in London, which is where he lives in the UK. You know, nice sexual girl for you, and who wants marriage, because I don't want marriage either. Do you know what I mean? It's like, go off and find one of them. Why are you bugging me? Do you know what I mean? So, but I think on a more great scheme of things, I think the more we can get through to sexuals and speak their own language, the more they can understand us. Because I think that's a problem is, you know, a lot of the time we don't speak their language really in language that they understand, or we're not likely to get in front of a lot of sexuals as much as we should. But there's more, you know, there's more activism, there's more people in the media, there's more asexuals doing articles these days, documentaries, been on TV and news. So, you know, there's a lot of asexuals that are coming forward with that type of thing now. So we are getting more well known and recognized, which is really, really good for us. I've had quite a bit of negativity, but lately it's more positive and more coming. And my coming out post, a gender panro the other day, is all supportive responses. Yeah, Sam, it's really good. I was really pleased that you did that on your profile, because I knew why you're doing it. Sometimes it's good to put on our own profile and define who we are so that other people can relate to it. So if there's someone else out there that's struggling with their own asexuality or struggling about putting themselves out there, like posts like that you did, about you being asexual, agender and panromantic, can really, really help. because people can think, wow, that person's so brave. I actually got a really nice comment. I sound like I never get nice comments. I get lots of nice comments, right? I actually got this lovely comment on YouTube. It was in one. I don't know if I've got my iPad on me to read it out, because obviously I don't want to switch on here, because last time I did that I went completely black. The screen just went black. So, but I've got my iPad off now. But it's a really, really nice comment. So it was on my originally in my asexuality video, the one that I do, that I have like if you subscribe to this YouTube channel, oh yeah, anyone who's not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the great big bell icon and give this video a thumbs up as well. But anyone who comes on this channel, and the video I selected for people to see was the one where I was told I must have sex, but I'm asexual, which was how I found out I was asexual. I went to a counsellor. If you don't know my story, I went to a counsellor because I just couldn't have sex in my relationship, and the counsellor horrified me by saying you must have sex in order to keep a good guy. And I thought that can't be right, and that's when I went home and googled I love kissing but not sex. It came up with asexuality. So they commented on that video about it being good to be me. I just wanted to read their really nice other comment out, because it's really, really sweet. So let me see if I can find it again, because I just wanted to share it. I mean, I'm really pleased that this channel now has had way over 100,000 views as well. So oh, sorry, Sam, I noticed you commented on one of my videos. I haven't seen that yet till now. So right, I will look at that later. Right, okay. So oh yeah, this was a person called Giselle, and they said it's okay to be you from my asexual documentary told I must have sex but I'm asexual, my asexual story, so the one at the beginning. And then they said I said thank you very much. I said, what did I say? I said, oh, thank you so much, Giselle. And they, as they put, you are so welcome. All we can be happier is to be ourselves. You are so brave to post on YouTube. Thank you for sharing with me and others. And I thought that was really, really, really sweet to say I was so brave to post on YouTube, you know, because not just me, but a lot of YouTubers, you know, we can have a lot of people that come on the channel and they try and say negative stuff and, you know, and be rude and stuff and troll and, you know, criticize and everything. But it takes guts for any of us YouTubers who talk about especially taboo topics, really. I mean, asexuality is better known than it was, but it's still controversial concept that people, you know, really don't want sex. It's not just a concept, it's reality. But you know, and so, you know, I just love it when people write me wonderful messages like that, and obviously other YouTubers, you know, because it does take guts for any person to get on a YouTube video and to speak their truth and to tell their journey, you know, and to say about their life and things that go on in it. You know, it isn't always easy. I mean, I remember when I started this channel in 2015, I mean, I was quite scared because I don't talk about sex usually, you know. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up. I don't talk about sex usually before, well, I do now, but prior to 2015, October 2015, when I started this channel, I didn't really talk about it, you know. It was very taboo for me to talk about it. I did make jokes, sexual jokes, which sounds really weird for an asexual, I know, but some asexuals do make sex jokes, like, because we're detached from it. So naughty jokes like bum jokes and stuff like that, you know, like stupid stuff like when I was a kid, like spaghetti shapes, what does that shape look like, and stuff like this, just silly little things like that, like sweet innocent kind of rude stuff, not nasty stuff. And so but anyway, as a more adult, when I'd been in relationships, the only person I used to discuss sex with was my boyfriend at the time, you know, and that was it. I never discussed it with my best friends or anyone. I mean, I didn't have many friends for quite a few years, but I never, you know, even after I split up with my ex, my best female friend, I guess I didn't talk much originally to her about it. Only through my asexual stuff did I end up talking far more and just like came out a lot more. Sam, it's a very brave thing for anyone to do, and people talking about their own truths and experiences helps, encourages and educates others. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. That's why I do it. You know, I thought all the stuff that has happened to me in my past, I can't, well, what am I going to do? Take it to the grave with me and it's helped absolutely no one? Or am I going to share it and try and help someone to understand they can overcome problems, to understand that they can become a better person, or they can have a better life for themselves, to understand they can overcome adversity, that they can free themselves of abusive relationships, that they can get their own life back, that can live the life they want, you know? I'm just thinking like I could have just everything, all my sexual past experiences, I could have just taken to the grave with me, never told anyone, and no one would know, no one would probably care, but you know what I mean? But then I wouldn't have helped the people I've helped on this channel, because there are people I've helped. I mean, obviously Sam's told me a lot of times that I've helped them. And I know there's another friend that we've both got, mutually awesome friend called Andy, who I know has been helped a lot as well. And that's why I made my coming out post on Facebook. I'm planning to do my own channel on YouTube at some point. Yeah, Sam, I think it's going to go down really well, your channel. Really well. You're a great inspiration. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it is hard sometimes doing a YouTube channel. I mean, I love it. I really, really love doing this channel, but it is hard sometimes, you know, when you're not always feeling up to doing it, or, you know, you've got to open up about something that's quite sensitive and be very like careful the way you phrase it and stuff. And it's kind of like, you know, it's like there's a lot of personal stuff I've told on this channel, like so much stuff. And in my books, but like I said, I don't need to keep that all to myself to take to the grave. I mean, this was very difficult when I first started writing this asexual perspectives book, because I do tell my very own personal story, which does go into what happened to me when I was 15 years old. And that's the first time I'd really, really shared that majorly with anyone. I'm sharing it with the world, do you know what I mean? And so that was very difficult. I had to decide, do I want to put that out there for everyone forever to see? Because once you put something out there like that, you can't take it back. Or do I just want to keep that private and not let anyone know? But I actually feel better by making it public. I feel like I've released it. I feel like it doesn't have a hold over me anymore, that it happened and there's nothing I can do about it. And it was a bad incident that happened in my life. I've always said it's a bad incident, but I don't, I used to feel really guilty for years about it, but I don't anymore. And actually by getting it out, it's kind of offloaded it, and it's helping other people, I think, to know that, you know, that you can overcome adversity. And also that I wanted to prove a point that just because some asexuals might have had some sexual abuse doesn't mean to say that's the reason they are asexual. Because I had all my sexual relationships after the sexual abuse I experienced at 15 years old. You know, if that had put me off when I was 15, I wouldn't have had all my other sexual relationships. I wouldn't have had sex. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I have had sex with 5 different guys, different points in my life, and so the abuse never stopped me having sex. You know, I just got to a point in after my last long-term ex. We split in 2011, and the guys I was trying not to date for a whole year, and then the guys I actually dated, I just couldn't have sex with any of them. I mean, really good looking foreign guys, you know, really, really handsome, beautifully gorgeous facial features. You know, they're probably most, you know, like my ex, when I first got with him, the one I was with for 8.5 years, I didn't even like the look of him very much, but I liked him as a friend at the time, you know, but I didn't like his look. It wasn't my usual look, you know. And you know, I had foreign boyfriends before was with him. And so, you know, after we split, you know, I went back to, you know, being interested in foreign guys, because I never really gone away from that as such. Obviously, I was in a long-term committed relationship, so, you know, I wasn't pursuing foreign guys during that time, but afterwards, you know. You know, and so after it, you know, a year later in 2012 to 2014 itself, especially the first few months, you know, I literally dated. I wasn't used to dating either, because I was used to getting straight into relationships. So I dated some foreign guys at different points, and you know, it's just like strange how things can turn around, and these guys were so good looking, but I just didn't want to have sex with any of them. I just couldn't do it, even though they want me to. I just couldn't. I just can't do that anymore. Just everything just stops me doing it. It doesn't matter how good looking the guy is, how much I'm enjoying kissing him, even if he makes me highly aroused. It's just like, oh, you're making me highly aroused. That's nice. I like the arousal. Sometimes I do. Sometimes it's just too much for me, and I'm like, eh. But and sometimes I don't feel any arousal. Like when I'm kissing guys in clubs, if I do, I don't feel any arousal there. It's like, maybe that's gone too. But so it's just like, these guys are really good looking. They're the type of guys that if I was gonna have sex and really wanted to have it, I would probably have it with them. But I don't, because I don't like sex and I'm not interested and I don't feel that way. It's nothing to do with the wrong, the fact they've got the wrong look, because they haven't. They've got really good looks. So yeah, that's kind of like so yeah, that's how come I decided to share stuff in my asexual perspective book. But Asexual Guide to Sex, I'm going to be sharing a bit more than that. Obviously, there's going to be some stuff you've probably heard in my asexual perspectives books. People are going to be new to the Asexual Guide to Sex book. They're not going to know my backstory. So it's going to be more stuff. But like I said, I don't see the point in taking it to the grave with me. I think that's worse. I think it's worse when you keep everything to yourself and you're not helping anyone, and I think it keeps your pain inside you. I think sometimes talking about it helps, but there is the downside that if you talk about it a lot, which I do on this channel, then I end up dreaming stuff to do with my ex that I don't wish to know anymore, have anything to do with. And that is really difficult. That is a really hard thing of helping other people and sharing stuff, because the only last reference I've got of sex is the guy I was with for 8.5 years, and he's the guy I really don't want to remember, right? So it's kind of really difficult. And obviously I'm able to talk about the relationship with him. I'm able to talk about the good bits as well as the really, really bad bits. But when I first split up, there was only really major bad bits, because he was a really nasty piece of work towards me, not towards others, but towards me. But like I said, the sex part is like completely different person, and there were certain things like kissing that we did around theme parks, these aquariums, that was all that I liked, that aspect of the relationship. So there was some good things even in all the really bad stuff, because if you knew what it was like for me, if you were living in my shoes back then, you would be so shocked at the fact I can even talk about it like this, like very analytically, pros and cons type situation. Even I shocked myself the way I can say calmly about all this stuff now. It's very, very strange. But I do get him in dreams sometimes, and I don't want it. And he's not necessarily been horrible in dreams either. And so it's kind of really weird. And sometimes it's intimate stuff that I'm dreaming, because because obviously it's making me remember all this stuff, and he's the only last person I ever had sex with. That's the only bad thing about the fact that I haven't had sex since 2011, is the fact that the last person I did it with was him, who'd rather forget. But hey ho, but at least it was a good experience. I'm not leaving sex on a bad experience. I'm leaving on a really, in terms of sex stuff, I'm leaving that on a good experience. So if I'd left it on a bad experience, I would be viewing sex as like, I view sex as horrible anyway, because I don't like it, but I wouldn't be so objective. Like the Asexual Guide to Sex, obviously, I'm going to be more, I'm able to do this thing of seeing kind of pros and cons, being analytical about it now. I'm able to help other people in the Asexual Guide to Sex book. And even, if I need to help sexuals, I'm able to kind of see both sides, because I was in heterosexual relationships for half of my life and I didn't have that experience. I wouldn't be able to. If I'd had no good sexual experience at all, then all the asexuals that even want to try sex, I'd just be saying, no, don't do it, rah, 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 really bad. And, a lot of the time I think, if you don't want to do it, definitely don't do it. But for the asexuals that are thinking about having a go and, may genuinely think I really want to give it a go, I can be more objective about it because I've had some good experience with it. So yeah, I just think that everything that's happened to me in my past is here to help other people. And I just love writing books. Nothing gives me greater pleasure than writing books. When people say, there was an entrepreneur that was saying about old books, they're damn hard to write and it's really hard slog, and they are hard to write, in the sense that it's a lot of work. It usually takes me a year to write a book because I don't copy other people's work. Do you know what I mean? I'm not, there's quite a few writers that just go and get someone else to write books for them and then put it under their name, get ghostwriters and stuff, and just grab all these articles off the internet without having any life experience, whereas my books are genuinely from my heart and my experience, and so that takes a lot longer to write. And the editing's hardest for me and the reading, because I don't like reading, although I love writing. I know that sounds really weird, but I don't like reading in general. Overall, I just don't like it very much. But I love reading. I love I love writing. Sorry, but if I'm gonna read, I love reading what I write. If you know what I mean. So someone said to me in a message on asexuality.org the other day, he was an asexual person, he was a sexual person, but he was saying to me that, who's your favourite author? And I said myself, because I don't like reading, right? The most people's books I read are my own. So I know it may sound crazy, but if you don't love your own work, then who else is going to? Seriously. I love my own books because I learn from the people I interview, and because when I write them, it's kind of, I write them for myself as well, not just for everyone else, because I'm writing a guide. So if I forget how to do something in my life that I've taught myself, I can read it. When I become like really, really like when my well, I'm really, really young forever. That's the way I want to stay. But say there's any problems with my memory years later, then I can literally pick up my own books and read them. And they'll tell me what to do with my life. And I'll be like, yay, I know what to do. Thanks, Sandra. So whenever I write a book, it's kind of like I'm laying out the foundations for myself and writing how I need to live. If I read, it's non-fiction. Absolutely same. I like to learn and develop myself, and fiction books are too complicated and difficult for me to read. I am 100% the same as you, Sam. I don't write reading fiction. I mean, I get on Twitter people going, oh, you can have a free copy of my book to read. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't read fiction. It's pointless sending it to me because I'm not going to read it. You know what I mean? I've read one fiction book a long, long time ago because it's a friend that actually gave it to me. A published author gave it to me, and it was easier to read, and it was about an Indian love story. So I kind of related to it quite a bit. And so I pushed myself to read that. That was hard, but I quite liked it because obviously it was an Indian love story, and it was a lot of it was a parable. So it wasn't just an ordinary fiction book. It was a parable. So meaning that it had meaning to life about it. It was like a message within the fictional work. So it's very interesting, actually. But fiction books, I gave up on fiction books. I started writing a fiction book many years ago. I still have copies somewhere of the original manuscript. I think I did about 66 pages, which is A4, so it's about 66 plus 66. 120, 22, is it? 122? 66 plus 66, is that right? I'm not very good with maths, you can tell. Oh, I can't even add up 66 and 66. Deary me, I need a calculator to do that. I'm terrible. But yeah, anyway, so 132. Thanks, Sam. You're the maths genius, not me. 132. So yeah, so basically it's 132 pages. And that is only just the beginning. So yeah, I wrote 66 A4 pages and typed them out on my old Dell, so they're not even on my actual Mac. And I put them somewhere, I printed them off and put them in an original safe place. And I still remember the story. But I just got fed up because I'm a slow reader. I just kept reading the same bit over and over again to try and remember where I was. And it was like I was on repeat all the time. I'm like, I've just read this, but I've got to read it again because I've forgotten what it was. And I do remember the entire story. I remember the entire gist of the story, but I don't remember every single little detail. But I do remember it quite a lot. I know what's meant to happen in it. I know what's meant to happen to the last character, but to the main character. I know her name. I know what's meant to happen to her. It's actually it would be an interesting book for asexuals, actually. But the content is very controversial back then. So yeah, Sam, I tried writing fiction years ago based on space era, but I just couldn't do it. I love world building and spreadsheets, laugh out loud. You're really good at what you do. Yeah, I love writing non-fiction. I absolutely love writing non-fiction. I have a gift for it. God gave me a really good gift there. I know I have a talent for writing non-fiction books, but my books are done a different way to most traditional books, and I like it that way. You know, like you said, they're very easy to read and simple to digest, which I like because of the short chapters. I specifically do that on purpose. And non-fiction books can really change people's lives so much more than fiction, I believe. But I mean, obviously, people that love fiction would disagree. They'd be like, "Oh, that book really changed my life because it made me think." But you know, like to write non-fiction books, they'll always be there when I'm long gone. Do you know what I mean? They'll always be there to improve people's lives, and there'll always be asexual books. They'll be in the British Library when I'm long gone. People will always be able to see that book. You know, I think my books are quite probably going to. Some of my books are going to be very advanced for their years, and probably years to come they'll be even more popular than they are now. But yeah, I'm like you. I just like, and also it started upsetting me. That's the reason I don't write fiction anymore as well. It's because I'm very good at acting, like I told you, and when I get into characters, fictional characters, I get into their mind. So whatever trauma, obviously a lot of books, when you're writing fiction, you have to put a lot of trauma stuff in there, right? It's usually love, death, that type of thing. Those are the two main because obviously I've studied writing quite a lot. And and love and death are the two most powerfulest things you can use when writing fiction. I used to write poems, lots of poems I used to write. And so love and death, and obviously when I was in a really negative mindset, then death was easy for me to write about when I was suicidal and stuff like that. But having said that, you know, it just makes you worse. So when I was writing this character, right, she goes through a lot of trauma. And there's a scene even in it that's really traumatic, that just the way it's described, I can remember it now. And so, you know, it was affecting me, the fiction that I was writing, the traumatic stuff, because I got really into the head of the main character. I was basically her, but she's not me because she's a different name and looks different. But you know, I experienced what she experiences. And that is just pain. I kept getting so much emotional pain. I was physically crying loads because I get so into my characters, and I write first person. When I did a fiction book, I write in first person. And that's my preference, to always write in first person with the main character and how people speak. It's very difficult to write continuously in first person. And so it was very, very hard. So everything she went through, I felt as if it was happening to me in real life. And it's very traumatic. It ended up really upsetting me a lot of the time. And I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it. It's doing me no good. It's making me really, really ill. So I decided to leave my main character in turmoil and trauma and leave her in that state and go from her to then pursue. I'd started doing a writing for children's course, which I don't know if you knew about me, but I actually paid for a professional writing for children course. It's a long distance course. Technically speaking, I'm still a student because there's no time limit on it. It was 14 units. I think I completed the first 3. I got really good feedback on it, and it was like writing children's fiction though. And my favourite type of fiction to write is kids. If I'm going to write, I like writing kids' stories for 3 to 5-year-olds because they're very simple and easy going. And I like Mr. Men books and stuff like that. So the only books I really have are kids' books in my home that are fiction, you know, most of them. But for the writing for children course, you have to do different age groups. You have to do 3 to 5. I think it's 5 to 7, 7 to 9, and then 9 to 12. If I remember right. So there's like 4 different age groups. So you have to not just specialise in one till later on. So I did find that harder, but I did get really good feedback saying the bit of the story I wrote myself, rather than, because you have to analyse other people's stories and write your own. And I told you, whenever I write my own, I'm always much more higher, like A marks grade. So I wrote this one bit of my own, and the person thought it was really, really good, the bit I wrote on my own, and that I could write for that age group. I think that was 5 to 7. That was an older age group than I'd normally write for. Anyway, so yeah, so I started doing that, and then I just realised I did my first article was published in Country Smallholding in 2009. I had a star article published in the Writers Bureau magazine. And yeah, and then I just decided non-fiction was my thing. I've even had, but not many people know this, I wrote for a company article. I wrote free for a company once. That article got a mention in the New York Times, which I don't think people know that, because I'm in a book. I'm in a entrepreneur's book. I'm in a book as we speak, and this guy, Corey Poirier, the book of How and Why, he has got this is a book. I'll show you. This is a book. So I'm in this book, and this book now is available on Amazon under a different publishing company, and it's in like loads of bookshops. And I can't remember which page I'm on, but it might have been shifted around a bit anyway. Oh yeah, I'm on there. So you can see me with my quote, and these are two top entrepreneur. Well, top on this page. I'm in all these top entrepreneurs, but it has been republished now. And it's gone on Amazon, and it's got under a major publishing company. So the guy said that might be a New York Times bestseller if we can get the sales up for it. But I said to him, so I've already been in the New York Times with an article. Excuse me, and he didn't know that. So yeah, Sam, my gift is spreadsheets and formula, and I do study lots to incorporate new ideas, etc. Your gift is definitely spreadsheets and formula and space era. I expect that everyone will know about space era in years to come, and I'll be so proud of you. Because I know you want to do games with it, don't you, and stuff. So I don't want to say too much because I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. But I just think your space era is incredible, and you're very, very talented and intelligent, Sam. I really do believe in you, 100%. Space era is composed of thousands of spreadsheets. See, I could never do anything like that. Do you know spreadsheets I hate? I can't stand. It's my worst thing. Databases I could just about do. But yeah, I'm glad. It's good though, because we've kind of got opposite complementary, do you know what I mean? Complementary things. I think it's really nice because me and you don't really clash. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes, like if I was really good at spreadsheets and all that type of thing, it kind of wouldn't, I think it wouldn't be so good because it'd be kind of like you relate to me, but it kind of be like spreadsheets is your thing. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, your formula and maths and good. And it's like, so you're really good at the form number stuff, and I'm really good at the writing and creative stuff. I mean, I know that you do writing sometimes yourself as well. Do you know what I mean? So I know you're probably good at writing as well. I mean, obviously you have to be good at writing stuff to do with space era, but do you know what I mean? I think it's kind of nice that you're kind of like formula numbers, and I'm very much the opposite in terms of creativity writing. I think it's kind of nice we've got that balance because I'm really interested in what you have to do, because it's especially because it is vastly different in lots of ways what I can do, and you take an interest in what I do and get my books. I just think it's nice. I just think it complements each other really well. Do you know what I mean? Especially if I need to know about numbers, I can come to you. I like that. I'm the same with being in character, etc. When I do role playing stuff, fantasy, sci-fi, it can be hard when certain things happen to them. Oh, you're exactly the same. We're very similar, aren't we, me and you, Sam, on quite a lot of stuff. Not all, but quite a lot. Yeah. I had to leave that character. I mean, it was seriously making me ill. And I had a dream once, a fictitious dream, which was a fiction. It was like part of a story, a fiction work, which had asexuals in it. But the problem was it was really bad. It had murder and death in it and rape and horrible stuff. And I decided to write it down. I thought, can I turn this into a book? And I thought, no, I just can't write this stuff. It's just horrible. So there was like, it was basically, well, I better not give it all away in case I do ever decide to do anything with it. But it was like, it was kind of like, yeah, it wasn't good. I can remember the scene. It's good to have some differences, and we are both extremely supportive of one another. Well, you're my best friend. You're my best friend too, Sam. Yeah, you're extremely supportive of me as well. Yeah, I love the fact we're both supportive of each other, and we do complement each other really well, I think. Do you know what I mean? Really, really well. Do you know what I mean? Like, even the differences, I don't really see them half the time. Sometimes you point them out, and I'm like, oh, really? Okay. I didn't even notice. Because I know you like history and stuff, and I'm not into history at all. But I like science museums, not history museums. I love science museums, which obviously fits in with your sci-fi stuff you like very well. But I know you love history as well. But I mean, we can still go around the museum, history museum, if you want in my city. I went round with Andy, and Andy had a nice time. So I think you'll like that. I will do it because other people like it. Actually, there was real living people in the museum last time we went, so that's why I enjoyed it a lot more, because they have real people showing real artifacts. It's like living, breathing people. Like they had this it was kind of a special day when we went, and it just happened to be that these different people, I think it was like 4 different people speaking with tables of fossils and all sorts, talking about stuff. And it's really interesting to talk to them. I'm like, real people, because that's the thing I don't like about history as well. There's a lot of dead stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like dead stuffed animals and dead stuff, and it's past stuff. It's like all this stuff is dead and died. I want new stuff. I want future stuff or present stuff. Do you know what I mean? So it was nice to have real people there to talk about things, and some of it was to do with the history of Exeter as well. So at least I had a bit of relatability, and that was quite nice actually. I did enjoy that. I thought it's a shame they're not always there, because you kind of want to talk to real alive people. Do you know what I mean? It's just too much else for me really, but I really enjoyed that part. There's the Egyptian thing, mummy thing, that's a bit freaky. But yeah, it's still good. But yeah, we must go there sometime as well. It's good. But yeah, I love history in the future. It's all great. Yeah, I hated history at school, Sam. I couldn't stand it, right? I used to fall asleep nearly at school. They used to talk about the Romans and Vikings. I was like, I remember everything was going great. I think I was looking at the clock, and my mind was just like, oh, I just don't want to hear this. But I did the history of medicine, so I had to do history GCSE at school because I couldn't not do it as an option. There's some subjects I just didn't want to study. I was the type of person that wanted to just do a few subjects, not loads of subjects at school, but had to. And so I'm like, so I did history of medicine. I actually got a C, history of medicine, but because I like biology, the medicine side was quite interesting for me. So I did actually like the history of medicine. That was very, very interesting. So luckily I had the thing I was interested in the history, but at primary school I did about Vikings and Romans, and I was just so bored. They were talking about a horse and cart going down this road or something, and I was just like, oh my goodness me, I'm just so bored right now. Love ancient Egypt. I'm planning to go there in a couple of years once I start flying. Oh yeah, Sam. I mean, in Exeter, it freaks me out because they got mummified things in the Egyptian tomb thing. That's why it freaks me out. Like real mummied animals and stuff. And it just freaks me out. Do you know what I mean? It's like this is a real dead thing from years ago. Oh, it gets a bit spooky. I'm like, no, too much. I want to keep in this life. Thank you very much. So I get a bit eerie and stuff like that. In planes, I won't grow wings, unfortunately. I think if I was flying personally, I'd rather go in a helicopter than a plane, but to hire a helicopter would cost a lot of money, so I don't think I'll be doing that. But yeah, I don't know if I can ever go on a plane again in my life. Really, it'd be good if I could, but it's one of my worst things I'm quite scared about, really. I don't like a lot of the stuff to do with planes, but specifically the bit in the air. Landing and taking off, I'm actually okay with. It's everything else that I don't like in between, which is the flying in the air. I feel like I'm falling backwards the whole time, but I don't know what's going to happen to me. I mean, if I got very big at speaking on stage in London, I'd probably get invited to a lot of places abroad. Then I don't know how I'd go. I think I might, if I ever do fly on a plane, Sam, I might have to go with you first on a very short plane trip. Oh, but I don't know if I could ever do it because I needed someone I trust with me that knows what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? But I'd probably want to hold on to, I know you don't like touching, but I'd probably be wanting to hold on to your arm or something. But no, last time I think I wasn't even holding on to the guy I was with. I was actually holding on to the plane chair going, oh, like this and crying. I'm currently really scared of the taking off, but there are so many places I want to visit for history and culture, so got to get over my fear. Oh yeah, that's what I talk about in my fibromyalgia self-help handbook. Do you remember when I went to Disneyland Paris? What did I say? That when the gain outweighs the fear and pain, then you'll do it. So when I went to Disneyland Paris, it was on the worst weekend possible when they just had terrorist attacks and the French president was getting elected. But because I was so happy to go to Disneyland Paris again, I faced my fears and still continued to go. And then I got there because it was worth it, because it was it was less painful for me to go there than not, because I really, really wanted to go to Disneyland Paris. I knew the reward when I got there. So if you've got that type of attitude, it's really good. I will I will fly to Scandinavia first, as it will be a relatively short flight. Yes, precisely. Yeah, you've read my fibromyalgia self-help handbook. That's where you might have got the idea from, I think. And Andy, who read it, who's went on plane after 20 years of reading it. So yeah, it's really good. I mean, I write my own book, and it's like I've not been able to go on a plane yet. But I did like going to Disneyland Paris was a big thing for me, because I'd never been abroad on my own in my life before. So even though I didn't go on a plane, I went by Eurostar. And I went abroad on my own, though. It was a huge deal for me. It was a very, very big deal. You know, I was scared about going abroad on my own, even though it's by Eurostar. You know, I had to change at Lille. So I had to stay at Lille for an hour with big security guards with heavy machine guns there. Do you know what I mean? Because of the terrorist attack. So, you know what I mean? It's quite a scary thing, but it was nice in the way there was security there and that. But Annie suggests I fly short distance first, so I shall, either Norway or Sweden. Well, when I flew on a plane, I went for 1 hour to Spain. It was supposed to be an hour and 10 minutes, and I went for an hour. And it's like, because it was like quicker than it should have been, and I was really upset. Like, just for an hour there and an hour back, I'm like, oh my lord, do you know what I mean? This is an hour. So imagine what I'd be like. Well, you know, I was crying. Just imagine what I'd be like if it was longer. So yeah, I think that's a good suggestion of Andy's, though, because, you know, if I was going to go on a plane again, I'd want to go on a really short flight. But there is a course that you can take. I'm fine in the air. I hate the takeoff. Oh, I'm not, though. You see, I'm very different to everyone on the planet usually, and I'm the opposite. So I'm okay with the landing. I'm okay with the taking off. I don't have a problem with any of that. I hate being in the air. So you can imagine whenever I'm in the air, it's a huge problem. I don't have a problem, because so long as there's some ground underneath me, which the takeoff, there's still a bit of ground until we stop. And then when we come back down, there's some ground again. I'm okay. But it's when you're in the air and I'm like that, because I feel like I'm falling backwards the whole time. And it's really, really horrible. Really, really, really horrible. I just can't stand it. I just feel like I'm going, woo, like this all the time. It's like, I can't move. Help. I'm falling backwards. But I can feel that when I went to go to people's homes. Like my parents, when they were looking to move home, they're settled now where they are. They own their own home. But when they were looking to buy somewhere, and they actually looked in Exeter. They looked opposite where I live, right? And we went round the house together. And we went round another place round the corner from where I lived, right? And I could tell the floor was uneven. And when we were higher up, the floor was like that. And I could feel like I was falling because the floor was an angle. And I just think I'm not normal like that. I can tell that it was like not an even floor. It was at an angle. So I felt like it felt like it was really distorting. Do you know what I mean? It felt like I was falling backwards or something. So, you know, it wasn't very good at all. Even being in someone's home like that. So yeah, it's really, really unusual to be able to do that. Like, I can sense when the floor's not even. So that kind of feels like you're falling backwards as well. Anyway, I think we've digressed a huge amount now, and I think I'm going to conclude and say, yeah, if anyone's not seen Jurassic World, do see it, because it's well worth seeing. It's very full of action, and got a good storyline, no sex, and it's absolutely brilliant. I can't watch the video further as it's come up with an error, and I don't know why. I can watch normal videos. Okay, yeah, it's like YouTube's done something. It says no one's watching now, which clearly you have been, because I can still talk to you. But yeah, YouTube's got a problem, obviously. I don't know why. I bet that was weird. Oh yeah. Yeah, because basically it took you off and someone else. But yeah, that's really weird. I don't know what YouTube's doing. Very strange, because it says I've got signal here on Wi-Fi, so it should be fine. But yeah, I mean, I think we've talked quite a bit tonight anyway. This, haven't we? But yeah, yeah, that's a problem though. I had to refresh 3 times and close YouTube and reset, but another video worked okay. That's really weird, Sam. I'm so sorry about that. But I did see that people like you and someone else was watching and just went straight off. It's really weird because I've been on here the whole time, but I noticed that. I thought, and I know you don't just usually go off. You say, "Oh, got to go sleep now, or go and work on space here, or something." Most of the time, not all the time, you don't. But if you're really in the middle of a conversation. But yeah, so sorry about that. It's really weird. It said something about a problem with live stream. Yeah, there must be a YouTube problem. I know there was a problem. There was reported a little while ago that YouTube said there've been reports that people can't actually see the live stream and they'd fixed it. So unless this is a problem come back again, I didn't have the problem before, but I saw it because they in the dashboard and the YouTube dashboard it comes up with current known issues. And I think it was about a week ago. It said that there was a problem with some people seeing live stream. Yeah, perhaps the YouTube is playing up. Yeah, I think it is. It's definitely nothing my end because I haven't touched anything. And I don't, I haven't gone and opened another tab because I noticed one time when I did that, it went all weird. The whole screen went black. It's gone a couple of times black where I can't see myself, but everyone else can see me. So that's kind of weird. Black my end, not your end. So yeah, I think it's YouTube playing up. But yeah, it's been really good to chat to you. Really good to chat to you. But yeah, that's the problem. When I go flying, I don't like being in the air. And as you can imagine, that's the majority of the trip. So that's why it doesn't bode well for me. And like I said, when I was in, I don't know if you caught what I was saying, but when my parents went to look at this house to live in, potentially live in, they didn't move there in the end because they don't really like Exeter. They want to live where they live now, which is Dawlish, because they prefer a smaller town than a big city like I'm in. But they were considering living near me, which is nice of them to even consider it. And when they saw this, when we went to see this upper bedroom, literally the floor was uneven, and I felt then that I was like falling or really disorientated. So it was the same type of feeling as I got in the plane. So obviously I can tell when things are like at an angle like that, and when floors are uneven and you feel like you're falling backwards, I can feel all that type of thing. I'm obviously very perceptive of that. And so that's why it's very difficult for me to ever be on a plane because it's not comfortable. I mean, if you feel like literally, I feel like I'm like this backwards the whole time. It's like, help me. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel. And so it's kind of really uncomfortable for me. You know what I mean? It's like I can't do anything or move anywhere or go anywhere because I can't even stand up properly because it's too disorientating for me. It's very bizarre. But even I got it in this house that I went to look at, the floor, it was just such an uneven, it was like on a slope. And I couldn't stand being in this type of house where the floor's sloping. It just felt completely disorientating as well. Really, really strange sensation. I think I'm just like an anomaly like that I can feel stuff that other people can't feel. But I do have certain capabilities like that sometimes, that I can feel certain things and see certain things that other people just can't see or feel. It's a very bizarre gift, if you want to call it a gift, but it's also annoying sometimes because it's like, why can't anyone else see this? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's very strange sometimes. But anyway, I think we've been speaking long enough tonight. I'd love to talk to you some more, but I know you've probably got space era to do. I wanted to say before I go off with Jurassic World, I wanted to say I can sense when there is a presence nearby. Oh yeah. Is that a real in-person presence or is that a ghostly presence? I can tell when people are behind me and stuff. I was going to say, if anyone does get this, like the Blu-ray version that I've got, or I don't know what the DVD version has got, but it's got no spirit type. I try not to see them. I don't want to see any stuff. I purposely don't see them. I stopped that. Yeah. So usually I don't see anything like that. Because I choose not to. It's too frightening for me. I block all that. I'm like, no, I don't want to see it. I used to see stuff when I was younger. Not exactly that. Other stuff. I didn't want to see that anymore. I'm like, I don't want to see it. Yeah. Anyway, if anyone sees these and they have the deleted scenes, I watched the deleted scenes, and one of them is so hilariously funny, and I do not know why they cut it out the movie, right? But I'm guessing I do know why they cut out in the end, because basically what happens is he's the main character, Owen, right? And the main woman's called Claire. And at one point, they have to disguise themselves from the dinosaurs, right? And the way they do that is have to smear their bodies with some other odor than actually their own body odor or their own perfume, like human odors, right? Or anything like perfume, like that type of thing, right? So the deleted scene that was cut was he was started to put his hand in poo, dinosaur poo, and cover himself in this poo. And then the woman is like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, they'll be able to smell your vanilla perfume. So I suggest that you do that too, basically, in not so many words he said that. And like, so he goes, oh, do you want me to do that? I can do that for you. She's like, no, I can do it myself, thank you. And she puts this poo all over her legs, all over her arms, all up, because she goes, have I missed a bit? And he's like, yeah, you've missed a bit here with the neck. Well, she hasn't even got any poo on his neck. So she then goes and plasters it all up her neck and all up here and on her cheeks. And he's like, oh, did you get it in your mouth? And he goes, I think you went a bit too far. You can wipe a bit off if you want. And it was just really, really hilarious. So I wish they kept that deleted scene in. I guess it's because throughout the movie, they don't actually have poo on them. So that's what they deleted, I guess, for continuity. I sense plenty of good ones too. Oh, you sense good spirits too. That's good. But yeah, Jurassic World's a brilliant film and a must watch. Dino poo, I'd pass. Yeah, it was really funny though. It was a very funny scene. I just couldn't stop laughing. I thought some of the other scenes they deleted were boring, rubbish. But this particular one was so funny the way it was done, because she's supposed to be very prim and proper in the movie, as you probably know. And she's not used to doing stuff like that. And she gets all her hands really stuck in and puts poo all over him more than he does. And he does, she does go right up here with it. She really overdoes it. And he's like, oh, did you get a bit in your mouth? And it's just the way it's done between the contrast of her really prim and proper character, her getting stuck in and actually more than doing what she needed to do. I just thought it was really hilariously funny. There's some other stuff, special features that I haven't watched yet. So when I come off the live stream, I'm going to carry on watching the special features, because that's what I'm like. If I get a movie like this, I always like to watch the special features as well. Do you know what I mean? I like to make sure I've seen everything. New facial beauty therapy. There are some people that drink their own wee, aren't there? Meant to be for the nutrients in it. It's disgusting. They've had them on the programme this morning, I think it is. In the UK, as opposed to they drink their own wee for the nutrients in it or something. It's disgusting. I couldn't do that. It's absolutely hideous. New facial beauty therapy, dinosaur poo. Wouldn't surprise me. Do you know what I mean? They put weird stuff in cosmetics these days, don't they, and stuff. Do you know what I mean? I know that they use emu oil and all types of stuff in, supposed to solve eczema and stuff. I think it's emu oil's one of the things that's supposed to help solve eczema problems, but I just can't imagine putting that on my skin because it comes from an emu. Do you know what I mean? And there's nail facial now, where you have snails, where you have snails that are all over your face and skin. Snail facial. Oh, Sam, I don't think I've ever told you. I used to sit in a paddling pool full of snails. Snails were my friend as a kid. I had a bird box. I'm going on random tangents again, like we do on this channel. So I'm like, no, I'm not. I better go in a minute. No, I'm not. I have such interesting conversations with you. That's why I don't want to stop. So yeah, when I was a kid in birth certificate age, I used to have a bird box, wooden bird box in the garden, but I didn't use it for birds. I used it for snails, and I used to collect snails out the garden, put them in this bird box so they can go in and out as they please. And I used to love snails. They used to be my friends. I used to call one Fred, apparently. And I've got a picture, my parents have got a picture somewhere of me sat in a paddling pool full of snails. I've always loved snails. Actually, one of my children's stories is based on a snail. I wish the only way I can publish the children's books if I publish them myself really at the moment, but they are heavily illustrated, so it costs quite a few £100 just to get the illustrations done. So that would be quite in depth if I wanted to do that. So in a completely different niche. I haven't got any people I know in, I'm not in any I've not created any kids groups or anything like that, but I do love the stories. I've written 2 kids stories. The snail one it was really interesting. Very cleverly done. So I'm just raving about my own work here, but I just do. I love writing, and I sometimes write stuff, and I'm like, did I really write that? It's very good. Shot myself. But not in your face. They were on my naked body, I think on my chest, because obviously I didn't have female bits when I was a kid. Like, I had nipples but no breasts when I was a little child, if you know what I mean. So I think they were on my chest and stuff. I didn't put any on my face, but I did like hold them up to my face and talk to them. Hello, like this. Hello, sweetie. I love snails. But like the actual, because you can actually buy snails as pets, big ones, but I'm not so keen on the big ones because they are a bit too big, I think. But the other snails, I've always loved snails. I don't know why I've always loved snails. People pay loads for it. The slime is good for the skin, apparently. Oh yeah, I know you can get little fish that you put your feet in water, and the fish eat the gross bits off your feet. I know that was big in Exeter at one point. They used to have tanks for these fish, but you got to be careful how they're treated. Do you know what I mean? Like, these fish would eat the bits of the flaky stuff on your feet so that they they get fed and you get nice, clean, like smooth feet. But they'd all disappeared. But I think there's a bit of controversy how the fish were looked after. But yeah, but I didn't know about snail facials. I can imagine them going over the skin because they feel quite nice over the skin. But you got to be so careful not to crush them. Do you know what I mean? I hate it if I ever crush a snail by accident. I feel so bad because where I live, the path's really dark, as you probably know. And so sometimes snails get there and I step on one by accident and I hear it crush, and I hate it because snails are like my little friends. I'm like, how can you step on a snail, Sandra? If I don't do it on purpose. That's why I don't like slug pellets or anything like that, because I actually love snails. Yeah, I heard about the fish thing. Yeah, says Sam. Yeah, the fish used to eat all the dead skin cells. Dead skin cells, that's it, off your feet. So they'd be nice and smooth again. But yeah, if I see a snail on the path, I pick it up and put it in a bush on grass. That's what I do. Unfortunately, when I go down my path, it's so dark I can't see all the snails. So I have crushed them, and I feel so bad that I've killed snails because I love snails. Do you know what I mean? I feel so bad. It's really dark. So yeah. But yeah, if I see one in my path, when they're visible to me, then I pick them up usually and put them in a bush or on the grass as well. Because I think baby snails are so cute as well. I like their little tentacles. They go, whee! They retract into their little shells. They're so cute. They're so cute. I want the story now to come out. It's so good. It's such a good story. It's a really, really good story. It's very interesting. I love writing children's books, actually. It's just a completely different market to my other books, or Asexuality. And the Asexual Guide to Sex is kind of very opposite to children's stories. Do you know what I mean? The original Dr. Dolittle had the giant sea snail. It was big enough for them to travel across the sea living inside it. Yeah, I'm not too keen on this big looking snails because they look a bit fearsome to me. I like the smaller garden snails. But yeah, I haven't seen the new Dr. Dolittle film yet. I don't know if I'll see it or not. If it comes on the kids' movies, it will. I haven't been to the cinema for ages. Like, I got this. I watched some movies lately. I got this today for £2. Like, I'm like, shall I spend it or not? But it was in Poundland. It was covered in cellophane, said new on it rather than reused. And I thought this is great because it's got the normal edition in it. The one I watched Blu-ray. And it's got the 3D edition. So if I ever get a 3D TV later on, I could get the HD ultraviolet. I've never used that thing before, though. I don't know what that is. Really. But I thought, if I ever wanted to have a 3D TV, which I wouldn't mind in the future, then, then I've actually got the disc for it already. I thought for £2, shall I get it or not? But I did actually want to see it again, so I thought I will. I'll treat myself. Why not? I'm treat other people. So I was actually in the city getting my mum's birthday presents today. Hello, mum. Happy birthday. My mum's birthday's soon. Not today, but Wednesday, the 4th of March, which is tomorrow now, because we're in Tuesday the 3rd now. So yeah, and I'm gonna see her. So yeah, I was in the city doing that, and then I just happened to be in Poundland picking up other stuff. And I'm like, shall I get it or not? And I thought, well, it's a Blu-ray. These are usually really expensive, and I thought I'll get it because I did actually like it a lot when I saw it. So I thought it'd be good, and it was good. Hope she has a lovely birthday. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, I'm going over there on the 4th. So I don't know if I'll be able to do my live stream when I get back or not. It depends what time I get back. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to go now, I think, because my throat's getting a bit sore. It's really lovely to talk to you. I'm glad you agreed to watch the movie as well. Big love to you as my friend, my best friend ever. And love to Eddie, who was watching earlier as well. Really appreciate you being here. Have I missed anyone out who was here earlier? I think it was My Life. Big love to My Life as well. And thank you so much. I know there's been someone else watching, so lots of love to whoever else is watching. And I will say, just check out Jurassic World. It's a great no sex movie. It's brilliant. And thank you, Sam, so much for being on chat with me today. I really appreciate you. And take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you so much, Sam. Take care. Bye, everyone else. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that great big bell icon to get notified of every time I go live right now. I post a new video. Don't forget to check out my book links down below: the Asexual Perspectives and the Asexual Perspectives and the Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook ones are down below. Check out those books, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Embrace your quirky and each other's. Bye bye.